I would like to take us back to the beginning of time, to the story in the Bible of the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve lived in paradise. Everything was provided, everything was taken care of. They didn't know any troubles, any conflicts, any effort. And although we may take this myth as a story, as a nice story to entertain ourselves, that story or that myth is encoded message for us to remember our own nature that is stored deep down in our cellular memory. What is our nature? The true nature? When we were innocent, free, unburdened by the past memory, by conditioning, by busyness, not overloaded by the information, where we were raw, naked, in the sense of our simplicity. Where we were in our divine nature, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the pure masculine and pure feminine. This myth describes our original state of consciousness, which was the consciousness of love, the consciousness of union, where there were no divisions, no separations. Within you, there were no divisions or separations with your beloved. There were no division and separations with the nature, with all life. So the story describes the paradise that we were supposed to live, if only we stayed in our true nature, in our original state of consciousness. You may say, well, this is so far from the reality that we live today. Yes, it is far from the reality we live today, but you can return to this reality within yourself. You can return to the origins, to the original state of consciousness, to consciousness of love, to the union within yourself, with your beloved, and life, the whole of life. It's not possible for the masses. Yet. Not yet. But it is possible for individuals. For individual men and women who are longing deeply within themselves to come to that state of extraordinary love. And everyone is looking for this love. Because we all have in our cellular memory the remembrance of that. But unfortunately, our world has very little love in it. So we don't get the reflection of pure love, of that state of divine purity, divine union that we know intrinsically in ourselves is our nature. Every man and every woman is seeking this love through every relationship, through every heartbreak, you go on seeking this love. So what separated us from this love? It is the fact that we lost our innocence, that we started to think, that we developed a costume, a scaffolding of memory, of conditioning, of grievances, of past pain, of all the concepts that we erroneously identified with as ourselves. So we lost our innocence, and we were cut back from our true nature, from the Garden of Eden within ourselves. And in that, we were cut off from our beloved, the divine male or divine female. And we formed the walls between us. All of our scaffolding and memory, identifications, conditioning, became the wall that grew higher and higher and higher, causing massive unhappiness within ourselves and especially in relationship between men and women. The biggest cause of unhappiness on earth is paradoxically what should have been a delight, because love is a delight. Love is a continuous romance. But we forgot our origins. We forgot that original love, the state of love that is still deep in our memory. And we inherited erroneous notions of what love is. And we formed erroneous thinking patterns and conditioning around what love is. Everyone feels the lack of love fundamentally. And everyone is trying to find love because love is the greatest thing there is in human experience. If you can't love anyone, you wasted your life. So why something that is divine, holy, sacred became the reason for disparity and suffering in the vast majority of the population? They inherited narratives of love that were passed down by generations, that's of men and women that could not live love. So they settled for something that they called love, the appearances of love, that had nothing to do with love, with true love that we know. The narratives of love that can be described as performance. What can you do for me? The love that became a conditional exchange, a contract of trade. What can I get from you? So everyone is looking to get something from the other, because everyone feels so empty inside that they see the other as the means of fulfilling themselves, feeling the lack of love. So everyone is looking for love, for safety, for security, for fulfillment, and everyone gets disillusioned because it never lasts. The fairy tale soon fades. We've mistaken possession as love. I want you. I must have you. Often confusing sex and love. We've mistaken love for dependency, where love is equivalent to being needed by the others, which often gives rise to the need for children and family. We confuse love for self-abandonment, where we were conditioned that we must abandon ourselves and the truth of our heart for the sake of being loved. And that often is seen in relationship where you're not being treated in the right way, where you're not being loved in the right way. But still, there is some love. And although you intrinsically know that staying in this relationship is not following the truth of your heart, you stay because still you get some love. And that's especially valid for women who stay with the partners they don't truly love. But there is still some love. So they stay together. And in doing that, they are abandoning themselves. Or they are with a man where they focus more on him and his potential, whereas abandoning their own growth and their own potential and their own expression of beingness. We confuse love for sacrifice. And that is a very heavy conditioning, especially of the previous generation, where to be a good partner or a good parent, you must sacrifice the joy of your life for the sake of your partner, for the sake of children, or for other noble cause. So you must sacrifice at all costs, at the cost of your happiness. Love turned into avoidance for many, where they went through many painful experiences and discovered that vulnerability and true intimacy is too painful to bear. And they just prefer to focus on something that is comfortable, familiar, safe, like career, money, possessions, children. And still, men and women are trying to love through all that conditioning. And naturally, when you have that wall between you, loving becomes challenging. So the true purpose of relationship, beyond any personal fulfillment that we are hoping to get from it, in comfort, in security, in safety, in children, in family, which is all fine, by the way. But the deeper purpose of all of that is to bring us back to our original state, to the consciousness of love. And the way consciousness does that is by designing the relationship where there is the greater potential for such transformation, where there is the greater potential to transform the conditioning, the grievances, the armoring of the heart, the self-image, the psychological identity or ego. So that's the main purpose of relationship. And if you realize that and approach your relationship in deep devotion to the partner and commitment to the transformation, you can grow tremendously in all areas of your life, and you can transform your state of consciousness and return to the original natural state and the consciousness of love. So relationship is essentially an opportunity for you to bring out your divine female or divine male, your divine partner within yourself, and in your beloved. Because there is only one male and one female. Represented by 6 billion of females and males. But within each of them, there is still the original male, the divine male, Adam, and the original female, Eve, that are trying to come out in your relationship. And it's possible to do that in every relationship where there is a longing for that deep, extraordinary love, for the union of love. And if you are listening to that, it is possible in your relationship too. You just need to be reminded of that. And that's why you are here, why you are listening today.